So midpoint of a line segment, the formula for midpoint is that you're adding your x's and dividing by 2. You can almost read that. I'm just averaging, so I'm just adding my x's dividing by 2, and then I'm adding my y's. That looks really pretty. And dividing by 2. So just basically think of it, oh, when I'm finding the midpoint, I have to average out my x's and average out my y's. So if I add my x's together, negative 5 plus 3 divided by 2 gives me negative 2 over 2, which gives me negative 1 for the x value of my midpoint. If I add my y's, I've got negative 8 plus 6 over 2, which is negative 2 over 2 again, which is also negative 1. So the coordinates of my midpoint would be at negative 1, negative 1. If I just kind of estimate where that is, yeah, that looks like it's in the middle of my 2 dots, right? So number 14, they want you to find the midpoint. And so if I'm going to find my midpoint there, what would I do? Negative 1 plus 5 over 2 gives me 2. 4 over 2 is 2. And for my y's, gives me 1, right? 2 over 2 is 1. So if I went over 2 and up 1, it's probably somewhere right in there. Looks like I'm close to the middle of my line. You will sometimes get fractions in there. It'll be all right. And number 15. They switch it up on you a bit. It says find the endpoint Q of the line segment with one endpoint P being at 7, 2, and the midpoint being at 2, negative 1. What you want to do with this is just basically split it into 2 problems, thinking about my formula, that if I take x1 plus x2 divided by 2, it's equal to the midpoint's x value. So my endpoint is 7. I don't know what my other endpoint is, but I know the x value of my midpoint is 2. And so if I'm going to solve that, what would I do first?
Times both sides by 2.
Times by my 2, get rid of my fraction. Whoops, well, almost got rid of my fraction. 7 plus x sub 2 would equal 2 times 2, which is 4. And so I'm going to subtract my 7. So x sub 2 is going to equal negative 3. So it means that this would have negative 3 for its x value. Same kind of thing for the y then. We know that y1 plus y2 divided by 2 equals the y value of my midpoint. So plugging my numbers in there, what would I have? 2 is my y from my first endpoint, right? We don't know the y value of the second endpoint, so we're going to leave that y sub 2 over 2, and that's going to equal the y value from my midpoint, which is the minus 1. So again, we would multiply both sides by 2. So 2 plus y sub 2 is going to equal negative 2 then, right? And then I got to subtract. So y sub 2 equals negative 4. So the value of that endpoint must be, or the coordinates of that endpoint must be negative 3, negative 4. Randomly that one comes up. I don't see it very often, but on occasion they throw it in there, and so I thought, well, I better give you an example just in case.